not an article this time, but instead a book. I alluded to this in the previous video. I have been reading Rachel Wilson's Occult Feminism. Let's get into this. As I was reading, I thought that analyzing the book chapter by chapter would be fun and educational. For years, I've had this feeling that something in my life was fundamentally wrong. Not just that I disagree with it, but evil. It feels hollow and destructive, and I could never quite put my finger on why. My whole life, I've been told that feminism is empowerment and choice. I was taught by my parents, I saw it on TV, and I heard it from every woman in a position of authority, but the choices it offered always felt wrong. It told me that my power was in a career, my sexuality, and in being aggressive and equal to a man. It never told me anything about the home, marriage, or family. This book explains why feminism gets it so backwards, and the answer is more chilling than I expected. This chapter starts by pointing out the most obvious thing that nobody is ever allowed to say. Feminism has completely upended human civilization. Wilson writes that the overall structure and organization of human families, government, and society at large that were consistent across many thousands of years of civilization all around the world were completely dismantled in less than a century. Thousands of years completely disregarded. The most infuriating part of this is that you're not even allowed to question whether it's a good thing. Wilson is exactly right when she says that, and I quote, "To even question whether inverting the social order of human history in the blink of an eye was actually good for society or for women will result in angry accusations of misogyny and ignorance. I experienced this myself. I told my mom that I wanted to be a housewife. She called me a loser and a mental slave who'd never accomplish anything. I've been met with looks of pity, as if I just confessed to wanting to be a human cattle. The women in my life have been so thoroughly manipulated by the girl power messaging that they can't even conceive of another way to live." Wilson's point about feminism being treated as sacred dogma is spot on. It's not a political movement. It's a religion. And like any fundamentalist religion, it has heretics, and it punishes them severely. He mentions Camille Paglia, a feminist who was cast out for daring to criticize the movement. It proves to me, and it should prove to all, that feminism was never about equality or dialogue. It was always about a specific, rigid theory, and anybody who deviates from it is an enemy to be destroyed. It is the same kind of intolerant, narrow-minded thinking they claim to be fighting against. The most intriguing part is the origin. I always assumed feminism was a political movement, mainly driven by some bitter women or shadowy organizations looking to make some extra money. But Wilson's research reveals that something much deeper and much more sinister. She says that all political movements are spiritual battles at their core, and that feminism is not just influenced by the occult, it is born from it. She defines the occult as religious beliefs that claim to allow the practitioner to gain this knowledge, power, or godlike personal deification from its practice. That is the heart of feminism. It's not about being equal to men, it's about becoming a god. Not even a goddess, but a god. It is about deifying women. The entire feminist worldview is, and I quote, Hegelian master-slave dialectic, a constant bitter struggle for dominance. It is a zero-sum game for women and men, where women must win and men must lose. This is why it's so destructive. It's not a partnership, it's hatred. Suddenly it all made sense to me. The anger, the resentment, the constant obsession with power. It all makes sense if you understand its spiritual roots. It's not a political philosophy. It's a false religion. Wilson then goes on to detail the specific occult figures that feminists revere, and it is a horrifying list. These aren't nurturing motherly goddesses. They are violent, vengeful, and demonic figures who represent domination, sadism, and death. She starts with Ishtar, otherwise known as Inanna, the Mesopotamian goddess of love and warfare, who steals the rules of civilization, from the male god Enki. She is known for treating her male lovers with demeaning and sadistic contempt. Wilson points out that ritual magic in her name often involves BDSM. Is it any wonder then that our popular culture is so saturated with themes of female dominance and the humiliation of men? Is it any wonder that female empowerment is so often linked to sexual cruelty? Then there's Lilith, Adam's first wife, who refuses to be sexually submissive and becomes a demoness who murders infants and rapes men in their sleep. This is the figure that modern feminists have adopted as a hero of female liberation and sexual control, abortion rights, and even vengeance against men. Let it sink in for a second. They are literally worshipping a baby-killing demoness. This isn't some fringe idea. Wilson notes that Lilith is a very popular figure in the occult and Wicca. You even see women celebrating reproductive freedoms with a venomous rage. You have to wonder if they're not channeling the spirit of Lilith herself. The most terrifying example, I think, is Kali, the dark mother with a garland of severed men's heads and a belt of severed human arms. A goddess so bloodthirsty that her own consort Shiva has to throw himself under her feet to stop her from destroying all life. Wilson points out that Kali was a deity of the Thingis, a death cult responsible for over 2 million ritual murders. And yet Kali was the first on the very corner of Miss Magazine in 1972. The flagship publication of mainstream American feminism chose a goddess of destruction and ritual murder as its icon. Could they be more obvious? Personally, I think the effects and actions of the movement are more important rather than discussions about the occult. But to these bad actors, this is all real, though likely it's in my best interest to be educated on their beliefs as well. There are symbols all around us. Reading the chapter was like removing a blindfold. Wilson connects these ancient evil goddesses directly to the pop stars of today. She points out how so many female artists like Miley Cyrus and Cardi B are constantly sticking their tongues out, a symbol directly associated with Kali. She analyzes the promotional photo of the song Whack, Wet Ass Pussy, and sees it as an occult homage to the Roman god Janus and its themes of duality and inversion. This is what I mean when I say the world feels evil. It's not just political disagreements, it's a spiritual poison. Our culture is being saturated with these occult symbols and we don't even recognize them. Many think it's just edgy pop music, but it's a form of idolatry. It's a projection of dark, anti-Christian, anti-human will into the world. The book mentions that Wicca and other forms of witchcraft are the fastest growing religions in the United States, and it's because feminism has deliberately destroyed Christianity, presenting it as patriarchal and oppressive, and offered paganism as an empowering alternative. Protestant women aren't even allowed to be reverenced, despite that going against Timothy 2:11-15. This chapter is a revelation. It confirms everything I've ever felt about feminism but could never articulate. It explains why the movement is so angry, destructive, and anti-women. It's not about helping women, it's about turning them into idolizers of a dark pagan order. It's about inverting and destroying everything that is good, natural, and divine. The authoress, Rachel Wilson, says she wrote this book so that women can evaluate feminism and its effects on their own lives in an honest way, without gaslighting from academics and elites. This is exactly what she has done. I'm not a mother yet, but I pray every day that God will bless my family with children. And when I do, I will raise my sons to be strong, kind, wise, and resourceful, and my daughters will be supportive, kind, courteous, and frugal. I will teach them both about God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.